friends, 2 time zones, and a shared love of stories.
I'm Freya.
And I'm Jamie.
Bridging time zones 1 chapter at a time.
Welcome to Once Upon a Time Zone. Hello everyone, welcome back to Once Upon a Time Zone. Today we are actually doing our last episode of the year, which sounds like a really big deal, but okay, here's the thing. We'll start off this episode with a little bit of housekeeping. So next week, we will be taking a 1-week little break from the podcast. So I think it's Friday the 26th on Boxing Day. We will have no episode coming out on that day, but we will be back the next week. We are just taking 1 week off.
Yep.
Well deserved, I think. We've both been doing Bookmas, so we just need a mini little break. But that's the deal, I guess, with the podcast for the end of this year, and I can't believe we're wrapping up the end of this year.
Crazy. And like, it's already been basically half a year since we started this podcast, which has absolutely flown by. That is so crazy.
It's gone by so quickly. I feel like every time we do a new episode and the episode number goes up, I'm like, whoa, we're already on 24. That's today. That's 24. That's so cool. Yeah. I can't wait to do like a whole year of the podcast because we've only done a half year to start.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy because we've built such a crazy community here. Like, it's literally, we say this all the time, but it's the safe space of the internet for us. It's our little safe haven, and I literally love it so, so much. So yeah, little sappy moment, but thank you everyone for being here and coming to the end of the year. Happy holidays and all that.
Yeah. Well, we still have one more episode to go. We're not saying goodbye yet.
Yeah. Well,
but because of the nature of today's episode, we're gonna do just like kind of a little wrap up today. We're gonna talk about our reading year, how it went. We're gonna go over some of our like fun little fable stats, which will be fun, and then we're gonna go through month to month and go over our best and worst reads of this year per month. So yeah, that's today's episode, a nice little wrap up. But before we get into it, I am dying to know what you think of your current read. So you go first. What's your current read?
Okay, so Jamie does know my current read because obviously I had to text her as soon as I started this. And that is Strength of the Few, which is the next book to Will of the Many. I have been so excited to start this book, but because of Bookmas, I've been reading other books for the vlogs and kind of backtracking. So it got pushed back a little few weeks and I have finally started it. I think I'm about 250 pages in at the moment. We are deep in this world, and I have been using my brain so much for this. If you have read Will of the Many, you know the ending for it and just how that sets up our next book, and it requires a lot of brain power. And again, if you've read it, I can't stop in the middle of chapters and that's a thing that I do. Like when I feel like I need to stop reading, I can just stop. You know how like they have usually the paragraph breaks or anything like that. I can just stop there and that's totally fine for me. This book, I absolutely cannot. I have to finish every single chapter before I stop reading. Otherwise, I do not know what's going on. In the best way possible though. I'm having the best time. I don't know. It's like a little bit of every fantasy / sci-fi world that I love combined into one. That's what it feels like at the moment. And it's giving me that giddy feeling. I'm loving it. I'm very like confused. And after this episode, I actually do need to ask a clarification for a few things to see if I'm understanding everything right. But on the whole, loving it so far. And I do not know where it's going to go. I have not a single clue on how this is going to pan out. So is this going to be a trilogy?
I think he confirmed 4 books, actually.
4 books.
So it's going to be even longer.
So saga. Nice.
Yeah, saga. A quartet, if you will.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to get to this like one page. You're going to see something on the page and you're going to scream. And I need you to update me when you get there because I remember getting to that one page and being like, oh my God. Like I got so excited. I can't even tell you what it is or why, but like I think you'll know when you see it.
Okay, I hope so. I hope so. Imagine I finished the book and I'm like, what were you talking about?
What was that? Yeah. No, I think you'll catch it. Or even if you don't know that's what I was referencing, I think you'll still realize the significant impact of that page.
Okay. Very vague terms. Okay.
Yep.
But what are you currently reading? I actually don't know the answer to this one.
I think you do. Because you reacted to my Instagram story.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were starting it or if you were just like sussing it out.
Looked at it. Yeah. So yeah, I did pick up Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. So book 3 of the Stormlight Archive. I was debating because I think we've been discussing this. Like we feel like we want to do one more long book before the end of the year. So I'm actually doing Oathbringer as like what I want to call a selfish read. Like I'm not reading it for a vlog. I'm not reading it for any type of video. I mean, it'll be in like the wrap-ups, obviously. I know, right? How dare I? But I feel like once in a while I take a book for myself and I just like read it for myself. It was kind of like when I got Barrier Bones, I'm pretty sure I just read that arc like off camera, and same with like Wild Reference. I'm pretty sure I read that off camera too. Like sometimes I'm just like, this is my selfish moment and I'm just gonna read this book for myself. So I decided to do Oathbringer, and picking it up, I was like, so my printed copy, I have the mass market paperbacks of like all of the Stormlight books I've read so far, and so my Words of Radiance copy is 1,310 pages, and then my Oathbringer copy is actually a few pages under that. It's like 1,306 or something. So when I was picking it up, I was like, yeah, this is going to be so easy. It's like a few pages shorter than Words of Radiance. And then I opened the book, and the size of this font, like you would not believe the size of this font. It is like minuscule. It is so tiny. And while I was reading the first few pages, I'm like, why does this seem so wordy? Like it seems like it's going by slower than like the other Stormlight books. And then I was like, oh my god, they shrunk the font and shrunk the margins too. So I had to I opened it side by side to my Words of Radiance copy, and I was like, yeah, confirmed. It's like much smaller.
That is, the books are already so small. Like they're literally such thick, tiny books. Like they're
right here,
half the size of normal books. Yeah. They're hard enough to read as they are. Like the fact that the font is smaller is awful. Also though, when I was book shopping actually, so if you guys have seen that vlog, it was like part of my book miss, and my partner Austin, he was the cameraman for me. So massive shout out to him.
Love
because
it.
I would not have been confident enough.
Amazing.
But we were looking at the Brandon Sanderson books, and we have like all the different covers. So we had like the mass paperback, and then I have the kind of white, I guess they're the new editions, the UK editions. Yeah. I really like them. They're my favorite because they're really easy to read for such big books. But Austin was like, I really like the original ones, like the mass paperback.
The mass market.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a feeling of nostalgia to them. Like I think they're kind of cozy, and like I have a lot of people being like, why don't you just read them on like Kindle or something? And I'm like, there is something to it. It's like, yes, it's a little bit of a struggle, but it kind of adds to the overall experience of reading a book like this in a way. It's like it adds to the vibe. So like I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the mass market paperbacks because like they're hard to read, but they also just like suit the vibe so much, especially with something like such a classic feeling high fantasy book. It's like, I don't know, it fits.
And I do think what my wish would be, like those covers on a normal size book would, like a normal size paperback would be my dream, I think, because I actually really like the covers, and I think they match the whole world and like just the setting of the world really, really well. But yeah, the reason I didn't pick up those ones was literally because of the size of them. And I was like, and I crack my spines as well. So I was like, those books would be a mess by the time I'd finished.
I am like spine training, like hardcore spine training before I start any of these ones. And I'm holding them like so delicately. I probably need to get over my fear of cracking a spine, but like for now, that's what I'm doing.
It's a wonderful
I also
feeling,
wanted
honestly.
I wanted to bring up, so I just watched your 26 books for 2026 today, and I noticed that you want to reread Red Rising, and I need to bring this up because I have been, because I finished the first trilogy this year, like up to Morningstar, and I'm going to start Arc 2 next year. I've been wanting to keep the world like sort of fresh in my head, like in this kind of lull period before I start Arc 2. Yep. So I've been listening to the audiobooks. So I started the Red Rising audiobook like a couple days ago or a week ago, and it's so good. It's so good because they have the graphic audios for Red Rising, and so it's got like, it has a multicast, you know, so every character's got a different voice, and it's got sound effects, and it's got music, and it's got like the acting, like they actually act out scenes, like you'll hear the giggling and the screaming,
like the
or whatever.
dramatic reading. Yeah.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good. And like, because we've been talking about how we have difficulty like imagining sci-fi scenes in our heads, like it doesn't come naturally. Honestly, with the sound effects, it really helps because you hear like the I don't know, the space sounds, and it really helps you put yourself into that environment. So I would recommend it. I'm currently listening to them, as kind of like a reread, but they are so good. They're like the best things I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, that makes me so happy because I think that was my biggest problem reading Red Rising. Like, I just didn't connect to the world very much. And I don't know whether that was, because I couldn't imagine it, or I don't know. There was like just this level of disconnect with the first book. But then I know that you didn't rate the first book like super high either. But then the next ones, and a lot of people in my comments have been like, I didn't love the first book, but the second one and third one are incredible. So I'm just like, I think it would be a disservice to myself if I didn't continue on the series, like if I judged it from the first book, because there are so many series that I've read the first book of, and I was like, it's okay. And then I read the rest of the series and I'm absolutely blown away, and it becomes like an incredible series for me. So I was thinking about that, and it's still on my shelf, and I was sitting like staring at it. I was like, I think I need to add it to the list. So that is really good. Maybe I'll do a reread via audio, or even like an immersive read if I want. You know, go crazy.
Yeah, I think that's how Bailey was reading them. I think she was doing immersive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. I've been seeing her, I've been seeing Emmy, and it's so, like, especially Emmy, she doesn't really read a lot of sci-fi, and she absolutely loved it. So I was like, okay, that's my sign that if everyone else is reading it and absolutely loving it, I need to give it another chance.
Yeah. Something I also recently learned about the first book too is that like Pierce Brown didn't even want to write the first book, from what I can tell. Like that wasn't really the story he wanted to tell, but that's the story that the publishers wanted him to write, because they were like, it's got like the trials thing and like whatever, and like that's what sells. And so he just had to write that as like, I don't want to say a throwaway book, but kind of a throwaway book. Like he just kind of was like, okay, I'll write this book for you guys, and then I'm going to do my own thing for the rest of the series. And like you can really tell like there's a big step between the first book and the rest of it. So it was kind of like he just needed that book to establish his world and like get along with the publishers, and then he could continue doing his own thing. I don't know if that's completely fact. This is what I heard from social media. So but I think like it makes sense, like from my experience reading it and then hearing that. I'm like, I can see it. So you just gotta like read the first book so you know what happens, and then like the rest of it is so good. I mean, at least up to Morningstar, which is what I'm up to.
I've heard incredible things about the like second kind of installment in the world as well. One of my like best friends, she has kind of just gotten back into reading recently, and that's a series that's gotten her back into it. She's also writing a book. So she did, interesting that you say that about Pierce Brown, because she did like this deep dive into his publishing journey. And apparently, again, secondhand information, guys, don't take it word for word. I may be paraphrasing here. But apparently he's like Red Rising, or his initial premise for the series or something, got rejected by multiple different publishers. Yeah. And then he like wrote a letter introducing the series in the perspective of his character or something. And that's what got the attention of the publishers. So very interesting publishing journey. Maybe I need to look into that more.
Yeah, and it's such a cool world. I'm excited to go into Arc 2, because like everyone says Lightbringer is like the best book in the entire world. And
wow.
That's like book 3 in Arc 2. So like you obviously need to read the first 2 books before getting into that one. But yeah, I'm a little scared, but I'm like so excited.
Okay, that makes me more excited now. Okay, dramatic reading of Red Rising. That's what it is. That's what we're doing.
It's a roller coaster. Like reading Morningstar, I was like laughing, and then I was like crying, and then I was laughing, and I was crying again, and I didn't even know how to feel by the end of it. Like it was insane. I don't think I've had a book take me on such an emotional roller coaster like in a long time. So yeah. Definitely one of my like best reads of the year. It was so good.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm so excited to see, like totally off topic, but I'm so excited to see like your wrap up of the year when that comes out in January. I'm just like, I'm gonna be the first one there. I'm gonna be like waking up at 3 a.m. my time.
I'm going to try and talk faster because I feel like I spend so much time talking about a book that I'm like, if I don't talk faster, this video's literally going to be 10 hours long.
It's like limited to 3 minutes each or something.
Yeah, or even less. Because I think I read like, okay, this is a good segue because we're going to go through our Fable Wrapped. My current book count is 152 for this year. So I'm like, if I spent even 3 minutes on every single book, like that's too long for a video.
Wait,
I have to spend like
literally
10 seconds on a book.
I feel like 2 months ago you were like, this is my 100th read of the year. What?
Was that 2 months? Well,
no,
yeah,
it wasn't. It was a lot longer. It just feels like it.
Yeah, but I will say November was a big reading month for me, and it was a very good reading month for me. So yeah, I'm at 152 right now as of today.
I am lost for words. That is absolutely crazy and so impressive. Well done. And the fact that they're not all just 350-page books. There's some big books in there. There's some long books in there. That's really impressive. Especially when I was watching your November wrap-up. I was like, these aren't... yeah, exactly. These aren't even small books. They're all really long. They're all, like, majority of them were over 600 pages at least. So I was really impressed.
It's a lot. I've been reading, I think, like, on average, shorter books in December, except the Oathbringer that I just picked up. But yeah, what's your number?
Guys, I represent the slower reading community, which isn't even like, I have read 93 books so far this year. I had a goal of 80 though. That's so good. I had a goal of 80. Like we're working our way. And I feel like my actual big goal for the year was to read quality over quantity. So I am, because I read more. I think I read like 100 and something last year. But I felt like I forgot a bunch of books that I read last year. Like I read them and then I forgot what they were about apart from the very basic premise. So my whole thing this year was I need to be more present whilst I'm reading. And I think that's also helped me pick up some bigger books like Way of Kings and everything because I was so terrified of reading them. So yeah. But yeah, we're just kind of going to go through our little Fable wrap up. So if you guys don't know what Fable is, it's my favorite platform. It's like Goodreads. And it basically tells you your reading insights for the entire year. It happens at the very beginning of the year, so you can look at this whenever. But it tells you like your top genres, your average rating, most read authors, everything like that. It's also just so aesthetic. I literally love Fable because it's so aesthetic.
Cute.
Yeah.
It's a cute app. That's why I keep both updated because I'm like, I feel like more people use Goodreads. So it's like I do the Goodreads and then I do the Fable because it's cute. Like Fable's for myself.
It's like a little digital reading journal without you actually having to do all the journaling. You just put in the books you've read.
Yes, because if you know me, you know I'm not crafty at all. So like I will never do like an aesthetic cute reading journal because I can't. I literally can't.
I am so impressed. Like do you follow Katie is Reading on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Her journals.
I don't know how she does it.
Oh my gosh, they are incredible. I don't know where she finds the time because I feel like my biggest thing is it takes me like an hour to do a spread. And I did a reading journal this year, but it's very basic. It's like 2 pages each month, TBR, what I read.
Write it down.
Tick them off if I've read them. Like, you know, cute little doodles here and there to make it a little bit aesthetic. But it's very basic because I was like, I have to be realistic with myself. I can't have a cute. Also, Rachel Catherine, she does incredible reading journals. I can't be a Katie or a Rachel. Like you got to be realistic to yourself.
Katie or a Rachel.
I am very curious to see your genre breakdown.
Okay, genre breakdown. Where do I see this? Okay, the thing is, here's the thing. I feel like Fable genres are a little weird.
Yeah, I'm just looking at mine now, going, huh?
Every single book that has a romance subplot, they tag as romance.
Yeah, I'm starting to think so as well because I did not think I read that many romances this year.
No,
in fact, I
didn't read a lot of romances. Like I read like 2 romances a month max. But according to Fable, I've read 67 romances, which is my top genre, which does not make sense. That's not accurate. But I've read 61
should we say, like,
fantasies.
Romanticises as well? Romance and romanticises. We're just gonna, because I'm pretty sure that's what they're going off.
Yeah, it could be. Although I feel like I have seen some just like fantasies with a romance subplot and they'll tag it romance because there's a romance in it.
That is so odd. Hang on, I need to like,
Yeah.
while you go through, I need to figure this out. I'm gonna go through to some of my like fantasy romances and see what it's classified
Oh,
as.
yeah. Yep, good idea. Okay, yeah. So I have 67 romances, 61 fantasies, 40 young adult, 19 fiction, and 17 literary fiction. So those are my top 5 genres, which I think makes sense. Outside of the romance thing, I think
Yeah,
makes
that's a
sense.
bit. But yeah, no, the rest, that's a really like actually pretty diverse wrap up, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, fiction and literary fiction being up there, it's just like, I feel like that's so general. Like fiction's just such a
Yeah.
general category. But I think it represents me quite well outside the romance.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's
What's
a pretty
yours?
Jamie wrap up. I'm just trying to figure out. I was just looking through. I think
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of confused. Like I went into Wild Reverence and it says some spice, where the fantasy, like where the little genre thing would be. So yeah, I'm not really sure how we classify because a lot of them say fantasy, and so now I'm like, where have all my romances come from? But I'd be
I
curious.
think it's like a subtag or something.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think
don't
it
know
might
where
be.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. Mine, again, my top one was romance, and I wasn't expecting that. So I had 44 romances and then 42 fantasies. That was my next. 29 young adult. So again, that's kind of a little bit, I'm going to say that's YA fantasy because I don't think I actually read one
Yeah.
young adult romance this year. 14 thrillers, and apparently 8 historical fiction books. Which-
Whoa.
I thought I read 2, but
But yeah, I think it's like, it could be like historical fantasies that you read.
yeah, like
I don't
maybe
know
like
yeah.
V. Schwab. Does that count? Like
Yeah.
Invisible Life?
Yeah.
Like maybe?
I think I've seen Addie LaRue being tagged as historical.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like multiple books in different genres. Like every book has multiple genres. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird though.
Very confusing. What was your average rating of the year?
My average rating was 3.8, which I think tracks.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like this year in particular, you definitely started rating your books a little bit like harsher in a way, in like the best way possible, just not giving everything
Yeah.
5 stars, which is, I feel like,
And
just
it
a
makes
growth as a
sense.
reader. We all get to that point.
Yes. Yeah, we all get to that point where like we can't rate everything like 5 stars or 4 stars. Which yeah, this makes sense though because when I read a book and I'm like this was like a good average book, I usually do like 3.5, 3.75. So the
Yeah.
fact that my average is 3.8, I think makes sense.
Yeah, no,
What's
I think
yours?
that sounds, mine's a 4 stars, just flat 4.
Ooh.
Which again,
you had a good year.
yeah, I feel like that makes sense. I feel like 4 is kind of where I usually go for average instead of like I'll either do 3.75 or a 4. I don't know. I think I'm a little bit I rate a lot of books in between like a 4.5 and a 3.5. Like I rate a lot of them in
Yeah.
between there, and I think I need to start being a little bit harsher. Because I'm always
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, I didn't love this part of the book, but like, hey, I couldn't write a book, so props to you. That's my thought.
True. Yeah. Yeah. It's like
but I
you did
think
it, you get at least a bonus star for that.
Literally, that's what I think. So I think I need to be a little bit harsher though, just so you can understand how much I actually enjoyed it. Just my reading preference, I'll go off instead of how good the book objectively was or how much time they put into it or something. I need to go fully subjective.
Yeah, the thing is I never want to give a book an actual 1 star. Like there are books I've rated a 1 star, but those are very dramatic. And so usually when I like dislike a book, I'll do 2 star so that like
Yep.
if I like a book enough, it'll at least be 3 and above. So that's how I go. But yeah, a lot of books end up in that 3 to 4 range.
Yeah. And I was about to say, what are your 1-star reads? But then I like thought of a few that popped to my head pretty quickly because I think we've covered a few of them in the podcast before.
Oh, how do I Oh, I
I don't know if
can't.
you
I don't
can
have Fable. I don't have
filter
Fable
that.
Plus. So I think
Oh,
if you have
damn.
Fable Plus, you can do it. I don't have Fable Plus. I only have Fable Free.
Yeah, same here.
The next one, though, is most read authors. Which one are yours? Like your top three?
Okay, I had Lynette Noni, which checks out because I read like the Prison Healer series at the start of the year as well.
Yep.
And a bunch of,
How
and
many
I was finishing the
books?
Akane, I think. I read 5 from her.
Oh, yeah.
5 from
That's
Frida
pretty good.
McFadden as well. Again, checks out because she just produces books like crazy. And 4 from Ali Hazelwood. I didn't realize that. What are you?
Whoa.
And then also 4 from Brandon Sanderson. So
Okay, so he's like tied.
we've got a bit of a tie. Yep. I feel like I need, that's, as I said, we talked about in like, I think it was 2 episodes ago when we said our things we're leaving behind. I need to, whilst I want to branch out on authors, I also just need to stick to authors and like finishing the series. So hopefully that number will be a little bit higher next year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. It's like I need to commit, but then I also want to try more.
Yeah. Yeah. What were your ones?
So my top one, to no surprise, is Frederick Backman with 6 books.
Yeah.
That was a ride. My number 2 is Brandon Sanderson with 5 books. And then my number 3 is Lee Bardugo with 4 books because this year was my like Shadow and Bone, like Rule of Wolves, Grishaverse deep dive because I had 6 of Crows done like last year or like a few years ago. And then this year I finished the Shadow and Bone series and then I went into Rule of Wolves. So
Yeah. That makes sense. They're
yeah,
pretty good top
so those are
authors,
my top
honestly.
3.
That's a solid top 3.
I think that represents me pretty well. Like we've got
Yeah.
the fantasy, like we've got the high fantasy, then we've got the YA fantasy, and then we've got the literary fiction. Like it's pretty much
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good representation of you. And
Yeah.
considering, and I would say they're like, I mean, new favorite authors of yours, obviously Frederick Backman is, so that makes sense for this year. And then obviously like Brandon Sanderson, we're both beginning to love his worlds and everything like that. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually,
Yeah.
that feels so long ago that you read Lee Bardugo though. That's kind of
know.
crazy.
Because Shadow and Bone was like January. Like that's when it was. And then
remember
King of Scars
watching
and
your
like Rule of
vlogs.
Wolves. Yeah, like that was, I want to say like spring, like March maybe, like early spring. But it was this year, so it counts.
Yep. Podcast didn't even exist then.
I know. Yeah, we weren't even like catching up every week then.
Yeah. All right. We'll go into a bit of a further deep dive, I guess. They were just our insights for the year. We're going to be going over our worst and best reads of every single month that we've had this year. So mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So-
Yep. A little positive, a little negative.
Yeah. Well, we kind of realized that like all of our top reads of the year, we've talked about a lot already. So
As we go through, it may start to seem like we're focusing more on the negative, but that's because we haven't talked about
Yeah.
the negative books as much because we've been trying to keep things positive as always on this podcast.
Exactly.
So yeah, a lot of the favorite books we've talked about. So we'll just like go over those really quick and then we'll expand on the books
Yeah.
we didn't like. But yeah, I can start with January, I guess.
Take it
So
away.
my top read in January was The Favorites by Layne Fargo. Yeah, just like such a fun book to read, like highly addictive, following toxic characters, doing toxic things, with some twists and turns in there. And then my worst read in January was Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. I didn't like this one at all. I didn't. It's basically a romance where our protagonist moves into, I think it's like her father's house because he passed away. So she's like moving in, trying to sort out like, you know, all this stuff that needs to be sorted out. She meets her neighbor, her like across the street neighbor, and she starts like suspecting him like as being a serial killer because he has some like weird behavior. The first time she met him, he was like barefoot. So she's like, why is he barefoot in the middle of the night? That's weird. And then the next day she sees him and he's like bought all of these like really weird things, like a lot of plastic, like tarp and like rope and like stuff a serial killer would need. And she herself is really into true crime. So she's like, oh my gosh, he's a serial killer. But the more she spends time with him, the more she like kind of, I guess, develops a crush on him. It's a romance. So that's the book. I thought it was going to be kind of a fun read, but there were a couple things I didn't like. So the first thing is our main character actually body shames a lot, like body shames herself and body shames other people, and I didn't love that. So that really like triggered me. And the other thing is there was not nearly enough like actual serial killer stuff for a serial killer themed romance, and so it just really disappointed me. So yeah, overall, just yeah, not what I expected.
I have actually read this one as well. And I completely forgot about it because I read it, I think, halfway, like last year or even the year before that or something like that. And literally the exact same thoughts as you. Like,
Yeah,
if you have serial killer in the
the
title,
title.
you kind of, and
Where's
also
the serial killer?
I love true crime. I'm kind of one of those people who I do get scared very easily, but like I am fascinated with like documentaries and true crime documentaries and podcasts. And so I was like, oh, you're right. This has a lot of opportunity to be a really different kind of romance. And I was kind of hoping for an actual like mystery that you're solving along with the
Yeah.
protagonist or something. And it just felt really flat almost.
Just nothing. Yeah, I expected,
Yeah.
yeah, something either a bit of a mystery or something more like Butcher and Blackbird, like something like that. But the theme was just not there. Like, how can you brand a book this way and not have any of
Yep.
that in your book? So that was disappointing.
What did you rate this one?
I don't remember. I think it was like a 2 something, I want
Yeah.
to say. I don't remember the exact number, but it definitely, I don't think it made it up to a 3. I think it was a 2
Yeah.
something.
And also touching on before, the body shaming, so unnecessary. Like, why was that
know.
a theme? That was, it felt like it just been placed in there to like give the character an insecurity or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think also like it could have done such a good job with like being a romance with kind of like body diversity, because I
Yeah.
think that's something a lot of us are looking for in books, like main characters that don't all like look the same or fit the same mold. And at first I was like, oh, this is great. Like we're reading about like a different like protagonist that's more unique than what I usually read. But then the way she like talked about her own body and like all of that, I was like, this isn't very flattering terminology to like
Yeah.
describe yourself. And then also as someone who like, unfortunately, I think a lot of like us have gone through this, but I've gone through like body dysmorphia and just like a lot of insecurities about my body. I was like, this isn't the book for me. This is not a vibe that
Yeah.
I can read about.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not gonna lie, when I first like discovered your YouTube channel, I went into your history a little bit. And so you're back. And like obviously,
How much do you know
like,
about me?
only what's out there. No, obviously, like you've talked about like doing dance and everything. So like you were in such a intense industry for it as well. So obviously it's going to be, yeah, it's just not the vibe. It's just not the vibe. It's not a vibe for anyone though. Like you shouldn't, it's not something that is in a romance book of everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Odd.
Yeah. Too little serial killing and too much body shaming. So it didn't work. What's your January, though?
Okay, so my best was Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, which I know you also read a while ago, and you didn't love it as much as I did. For some reason, I just was gobsmacked by that ending. I was like, so that just like left. I also did it in a 24-hour readathon, like my first proper 24-hour readathon, and I remember being so delirious and reading that ending and then having to reread it and being like, did I just read that right?
I remember watching that reading vlog and I was like, oh, she's going through it.
I was like, how is this happening? And then I had to go on to read more books and I was just like, how can I do that now? That was an incredible ending to the trilogy for me. The worst was His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Now, I do want to say some of my worst aren't actually that bad. Like, I think I gave this a 3 stars. It was a fine thriller. I just didn't find it that thrilling. And I had also read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. And I had loved that. I thought that was so, so good. And so this one just felt a little bit, like it kind of was very, like I can't even, remember specifically, but I know we're following 2 point of views. One is like a police officer, I believe. And the other one is like she was kind of in the wrong place, wrong time. And they they have this history, this past about them. And so you're kind of delving into like their past and if something happened there. And if there's like there was also kind of a random romance plot thrown in there. Which I wasn't vibing with. I thought the characters were really interesting because there was a lot of mystery surrounding all of them. So you never really knew who to trust. But yeah, on a whole, I think I've read better thrillers by Alice Feeney. But it is becoming a TV show, I believe, or a movie or something. I think Hulu or maybe Amazon. I'm not entirely sure, but I remember when I downloaded it, it was like soon to be major motion picture or something. So I would be interested to watch the TV adaptation to see. Like, it wasn't bad by any means. It just, out of that month, wasn't the best.
Okay, yeah. I feel like this year I've also just like discovered the beauty of a 3-star read too. It's like sometimes you just want a 3-star read. Like sometimes you don't want something like incredible, which I think sounds weird, but it's true. It's like sometimes you don't want to read a masterpiece. Sometimes you just want to read something to like read something. Like you just want to pass the time. And like a 3-star read is exactly what you want.
And I feel like a lot of my least favorites of the year were thrillers. But I also kind of wasn't expecting something crazy. I just wanted to get into bed and read a book in a night.
Yeah.
And they're the perfect kind of, like when they're 300-page thrillers, sign me up. Like, I love it.
Flip through them. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're pretty addictive as well. Like, you want to be knowing what's going on.
Moving into February. My favorite book of February is one that I think like we've all talked about, but Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. So good. And I don't need to elaborate further because I don't want to repeat talking about this book. We've talked about it in the past few of our wrap-up episodes, I believe, like our end-of-the-year episodes. So just really good. And then my worst is Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore, which I want to like... Okay, so we'll discuss the book first. So out of this like little series, these are like the little small town. What is the town called? Dream Harbor?
Dream Harbor, I think.
Yeah. And every single book kind of like corresponds to a season or a holiday and is like connected to some sort of a small business in this town. So Pumpkin Spice Cafe is set at a pumpkin spice cafe, like a coffee shop, I guess. I read this one, and then there's like the Christmas Tree Farm, which I read, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones that I haven't read because after I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I was like, okay, these books are not for me because they look so cute, and like these are books that like you just want to collect and you want to put them on your shelves and see all the little stores line up and create a little street on your bookshelf. They're adorable. So I wanted to like at least like these enough to be like, okay, I can continue to collect these and I'll read them as like, 3-star reads. But after reading Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I was like, it just gives me no joy. You know, like sometimes you want to, not to be mean or anything, but like sometimes when you want to pick up a romance, you just want to like have some fun. Like, you know, sometimes you know it's not going to be life-changing, but you want to pick up something that's just lovely and sweet and cute to read. And I feel like Pumpkin Spice Cafe just gave me nothing. I don't know how else to describe it. It just felt like we were going through the actions of a romance book, but without any feeling behind it. Like it was like, just give me a little spark, just give me a little something. But it was literally just going through the motions with like nothing else. That's how I can describe these books. That was my worst read of February.
Fair enough. Like I actually have the entire series because the publisher sent it to me. They're very like promising, very big here. I don't like hate them by any means, but what I think I've read 2, 3, something like that. What caught me off guard was how spicy they were. Because
yes.
What? When you see those cute little Gilmore Girls looking covers, you're like, oh, a cute closed door kind of cozy romance book. And I actually didn't hate the romance. I kind of read these, again, I sat down and read them in like a night. So they were just kind of really mindless little reads for me.
They're really short,
Yeah, they're really easy to read. I didn't love the romance by any means, but it was kind of fine. I think I liked the second one more actually, but maybe that's because I knew what I was going into. But yeah, why, like, so spicy out of nowhere. And the second one was even spicier. And I just feel like the cover, it's a little bit of a complete blank on the, I was about to say
Like a
ice
catfish?
dancer, icebreaker.
Oh, ice dancer.
Yeah. I was like, that's not it. That's what we want it to be. No. But
True.
it was like that vibe for me. Like, I didn't expect it to be as spicy as it was just from what the cover gave off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fair enough. I feel like they're very misleading, but the vibes are there, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, I've seen some people really, really like them. So I think they are quite cozy.
Yeah, I think like I enjoyed maybe actually I can't even remember which one I enjoyed more, but I remember when I was reading The Christmas Tree Farm, it was like, ooh, it's like your favorite holiday Hallmark movie, but spicy. And I'm like, my first thought was, I've never wished for a Hallmark movie to be spicy. It's like this is something I never asked for. But I can see how it can be something that like, someone else would want.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. But I also just wanted to like point out the fact that the author's pen name is Laurie Gilmore. And I was just thinking, like, how is this allowed? Because her real name is Melissa McTurnan, which I just looked up before recording this episode because I was curious. But the fact that she renamed herself to Laurie Gilmore as her author name and wrote these like very Gilmore Girls coded romances that are advertised as for fans of Gilmore Girls, like she didn't even just take Gilmore, she took Laurie. Which is very close to Lorelai. I just don't understand how this is like allowed.
Maybe she's just like a massive Gilmore Girl fan.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
Gilmore Girl fanfics.
But like how is this
I don't know how.
allowed to be like
I do
sold?
not
I don't know. I don't know like the loopholes or like I don't know.
Me
I don't know what
either.
happened here.
Okay, February for me was The Blood Trader was my best read by Lynette Noni. Again,
So
talked about the
fun.
Prison Healer series, but the third book in the Prison Healer series, I just thought it was a great conclusion to the trilogy. And it was very much like the climax of the trilogy, everything had worked up to this book. And I thought it was just a very well-rounded YA trilogy. So I
Yes.
was very happy with that. This is such a random one, but the worst book I read was All I Ever Wanted to Be Was Hot by Lucinda Frooms. And this was actually a book club pick, which is the reason I read it. I was excited about this because the back describes it as like kind of going off our last topic, like as someone growing up dealing with body dysmorphia, just like a lot of body insecurities that have been created by the media through, like how Victoria's Secret, things like that have impacted basically young women's journey as growing up into women. And so I was really excited about this. I thought it was going to be very insightful. It wasn't, to be honest. I like there is nothing good about this book. Like I don't rate books harshly, but this was like a 1-star read for me. Like I did not like this book.
Ooh.
It started out where she was delving into what influenced like her journey and how she got these insecurities, and like in high school she didn't, and then suddenly somebody pointed this out, or she watched a catwalk or whatever, and like she, all of those kind of things. And I was like, yeah, great, like makes sense. There was no conclusion. The conclusion was I went through all of this. I got surgery to fix all my insecurities. Kind of wish I hadn't, but also I did. And now I love myself and I'm fine now. It didn't even say, so the end, like there wasn't even this moral of, so basically like it's not about what's on the outside. It's like about you as a person. And like there was no personal growth. It was all so just material. And it made me very angry.
Just kind of like superficial, fixes or
There was just no conclusion, and I was really hoping that it was going to be some really great insightful book, and it just wasn't. So if you're going to pick up a nonfiction that you want that is about like I don't know, growing into being a woman, don't pick up that one.
That's odd. I feel like it's hard to rate nonfictions sometimes, like memoirs, because it's like, I mean, this was your experience. So like if that's your experience, then great for
Yeah.
you, but yeah, I feel like that would be weird for me to read.
Yeah, and it was kind of just like her actual life story, like I found quite interesting, but it was the fact that she kind of just told it and was like, not even, oh, I'm still dealing with this, I'm still developing, like, I'm still working on overcoming my body dysmorphia and stuff like that. It was just, I'm fine now. And I was like, so in 5 years, you've gone from like one extreme to the other. Like, that's awfully fast. And look,
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
she
it's just
has.
like
Maybe she has. I don't know.
it could be, but yeah, the fact that it wasn't kind of like explained through the book, I think, it's like if that is how she feels, that's great. But like in a good memoir, you would want to see how you got from
Yeah,
this
how
to
you
that.
got there from like point A
Yeah.
to B. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
like what's the
anyway.
lesson here? We can move on to March. I think we both probably have the same best book in March because mine was Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yeah, same.
Great. Okay. My worst was actually Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I think we've talked about this one
I think we
on
knew
this
that, yeah.
podcast in a previous episode. Yeah, we don't have to go too deep into it because we've discussed it throughout the year, but yeah, it just didn't work.
Yeah. That's okay. Like,
It
no,
was something that like
so,
there was so much promise in it. I was like, this is a unique premise. It's something I wouldn't normally read, but you've hooked me. I'm in now.
yeah.
Like, let's do this. Let's do BDSM. Let's do the twisties, like psychological, like let's go to therapy for our sport. And the conclusion to everything. I think it was and kind of similar to what you were saying about the memoir that you didn't like. It just kind of felt like our character was going through all these things and like going to therapy to try and, solve this fear that she was having. And then in the end, it was just like, I fell in love and that's all we need. And then everything else miraculously gets cured. So I
Yeah.
didn't like the progression of this one.
So fair enough. I liked this one. It wasn't my favorite by Ali Hazelwood, but I had a fun time. I think that was also, I think I read that one after reading Hero of Ages. So
Oh,
I was probably
yeah.
like, I need to just
You're in a,
read like the
yeah.
complete opposite of what I just read. So that's probably why it hit quite well for me.
Yeah, you're in the
Such a mood
mood.
reader. Yeah. My worst read for March was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Again, this wasn't a really like necessarily a bad read. I think I gave it like a 3 stars. I just didn't love, or I don't know. There wasn't a lot I loved about this book. It just felt odd. It felt like a placeholder. Like it just felt, it had such second book syndrome, I think. And
Yeah.
I didn't, this is the second book in the Powerless trilogy. I just completely forgot to say that. But it just like, I don't know. It just didn't hit for me and I didn't really like the romance. I will say I think the
I
third book,
understand.
like, I don't know, it was a little bit better than, and it kind of made the trilogy sit at like a 3.5 for me. But yeah, this
Okay.
book
That's not
wasn't
bad.
my favorite. I think I preferred the first one. I actually prefer the novella. That's the best one in my opinion. But
Yeah, the second one was what made me DNF the series. So
yeah,
it was my like last chance. It was like, I'll give you one more chance. And then it didn't work.
yeah, fair enough.
Moving on to April. My top read in April was Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, which I know sounds early, but it was an art copy. And I still can't believe I got an art copy for this one. But yeah, definitely my top read for April. And then my worst, this one's actually, I think it's my first worst that I didn't actually hate, but it was Immortal Dark by Tygus Gurma.
Oh yeah,
I just think like, so this is a dark academia romantasy. It's got like vampires, it's got like a school with like different societies and all that. And yeah, it's just that kind of a vibe. There's a mystery. I think our protagonist was like trying to find her sister and what happened to her
yeah,
sister. I thought it was like it had potential. I think the mood was good. I liked the world we were in, but I just like didn't understand where we were trying to go in the plot. I think it was like our character, I thought we were going to go on this like big like hunt for her sister, and then the plot just kind of went into all these different like side directions, and it didn't feel like we had a focus going through the book. So I was like just a little confused while reading it. It made me lose interest in it because I was like, I don't know
yeah.
like why we're going on all these like little side quests. And then I think also the romance in this one, I like didn't understand. It was like they were enemies. It's supposed to be enemies to lovers, but it was kind of, to me, it was like enemies to like, okay, I'll trust you a little bit because I feel attracted to you, and then like back to enemies. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't understand it.
I had a like I think, well, yeah, I chose that book for you to read.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to read it because I had a very similar experience with it. I think I rated it a little bit higher. I think I gave it a 3.75. But I read it last year, and I remember being the outlier. Like everyone else I saw reading it really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And I was like, I am really enjoying the world, and I am loving the mood and the
Yes.
like overall atmosphere of this book. But the actual characters, I'm really struggling to connect to or see the chemistry between. I think a lot of people liked it because it was actually quite enemies. Like they were,
It was.
it wasn't just like, oh, you're a little bit annoying, we're going to be witty and annoying with each other. It was like actually enemies. But yeah, I didn't love the romance. It was more like the atmosphere and mood that I did quite enjoy about it. And there I do have the
Yeah.
second book actually. It's actually a signed arc,
Ooh.
which is
Oh, that's
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
That's very
but
cool.
I really want to read that soon and just see where we go, because I do think the
Yeah.
ending, like there's a lot of possibility, and I do think it
There's
could really
potential.
it could really like up the series for me.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know how it goes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I did like the vibe of the world. I liked, a lot of it, but there was a lot like, and I understand, I like an enemy story, but it was like, if you're going to be enemies, but you're also going to like kiss each other, like that's what I don't
Yeah.
get. It's like, if you're
Yeah.
going to be enemies, I want you to be actual enemies. Like,
Yeah.
don't touch each other.
Yeah, you like can't stand to be in the same room with them. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what was your April?
April, my best read, because Jamie picked my reads for this month. Best read was Blood Over Bright Haven, very closely followed by the favorites, but I think I had to choose Blood Over Bright Haven. So obviously talked about that one. But my worst was Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. This was just a cowboy romance, and like again, not the worst. It was just way too spicy for me. Like, I don't mind a bit of spice. I'm not going to not read a book because there's spice in it. Like, it's not like that. But
Yeah.
when there's just like 5 consecutive chapters, it's just a lot. It's like, I prefer chemistry. And if there's like chemistry that leads up to this spicy scene, it hits a lot harder than
Yeah.
just, So yeah, this one, literally the only reason was because I felt like the romance was very fast paced. It was very like rapid. Kind of insta love, but also we had some tropes thrown in there that tried to make it not insta love, and then just a lot of spice. So it wasn't for me. It's pretty simple.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great explanation. Moving on to May. My top read in May was a Frederick Backman. So it was Us Against You, which is the second book in the Beartown trilogy, which I think is my favorite in the trilogy. I think.
Yeah.
This one was, it's just like, it made me love a lot of characters. Like it gave me the attachment to everyone. I think after Beartown, I was like, this was such a great story. And I felt like, I loved the characters, but then Us Against You made the characters feel like they attached onto my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was wonderful. And then my worst was actually by one of my favorite authors of all time, but it was by Kristen Hanna, Firefly Lane. My most disappointing read from her thus far. And this actually is one that we've discussed on this podcast, but essentially this book is about a friendship. I thought the friendship was very toxic and I didn't want them to be friends. And when you're reading a book about 2 friends, you're supposed to want to root for the friends. And I was not rooting for these friends. And it just made for a very strange experience on my part.
Yeah. I have heard like people either really enjoy that book or really dislike it. I haven't seen many in betweens, to be honest.
Yeah, there's like, I didn't like either friend for each other. They both had their flaws. But I think for me, I resonated more with one friend. I think Kate. Their names were Tully and Kate, I think. I think Kate was kind of like the softer, more reserved one, and I resonated with her, and I actually like had some sort of a Tully in my life. So I think it was just extra, like, like for me, because I was like, I feel like I've experienced this personally.
Yeah.
And in my personal life, I have lost, like, you know, I cut ties with the Tully in my life, and I wanted the fictional, you know, Kate to cut ties with the Tully in the book, and that wasn't the point of the book.
Okay, that makes sense. It hit close to home. Yeah. It's like reliving
like
your
it
worst.
It felt too, like, ooh, like, yeah, personal to me, but then, like, didn't go the route that I would have gone.
No, fair enough. My top read of May was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I got an ARC for, so that's why it's a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Which I actually cried the day I got that, and then I read it in like 2 days, and then I cried some more. But, you know, we've talked about that one a lot, obviously, because it was your favorite read as well, our listeners. And then worst read was A Familiar Stranger by A.R. Torr. This is another thriller. And actually, I have read a thriller by A.R. Torr before, which is why I really wanted to read this one. And I like For the Life of Every Last Secret, I think it's called. And I loved it. It was like suburban, rich housewives vibe. And I love that thriller vibe.
Yeah.
But so I was really excited to go into another book by them. This one I didn't like it. I guess the plot twist and cheating was such a big part of this book, and it drove me insane. I just cannot even, that trope in itself just makes me so angry. And then they continue to lie to each other's faces, and I was like, I cannot deal with this. Like, I was so close to DNFing this book, but it was only like 250 pages, so I read it.
Yeah, a book with, like, cheating, I can only read if, like, they don't end up together. Like the people who cheat end up with, like, you know, they go in a downward spiral, and that's the point. But it's like when there's a cheating book and then they end up together, I'm like, like, why?
I just can't with the lying. And like, you know that you know, when you're in one protagonist's head and you know that the other one is lying, you're just like,
oh, that's
makes
frustrating.
me so angry. But yeah, that was my worst one. What about your June?
Okay, so June was my Atmosphere read. So that was my top read, of course. And then my worst was The Summer We Ran by Audrey Ingram. This one is a fiction. And this one had promise. So the premise of this one is we follow two people who, like, met each other when they were kids and, like, fell in love. They had, like, one of those, like, first love, teenage love romances, and then now it's like 20 years later or something like that, they're now running for the same, like, government position. It's like governor or something, and they're on, like, two opposite sides of, like, you know, the political spectrum, and they're running against each other. But as they, like, see each other for the first time, all of this stuff starts coming up again, and yeah, that's the story. I liked, honestly, the, like, first love part was, like, kind of addictive to read, but when we got to the second half of the book, I think it got, like, it's one of those books that was too on the nose political, that was, like, so heavily, like, it felt preachy, it felt like it was, like, pushing something on you, and I'm like, I get what you're trying to do with the story, like, I totally get it, it's important to talk about, but the way it was done was just, like, there was no nuance. It was, like, one side or the other, and it was, like, it was not, like, it was black and white, it was right or wrong, and I was like, I don't really love this. And also, it was another cheating book, actually. There was a lot of cheating in this one. And yeah, it was one of those where it's like, I can't root for these characters because they're just a bunch of cheaters. But yeah, it was a tough read.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot of good, to be honest.
It had premise. Like, the first half was so addictive. Like, I read the first half so quickly, and I was like, this could be so good, and then it was not good in the
That's
end.
the worst. I hate when books start out so good and then they just go on at, like, the last 50%. I've got actually one in my next coming months, which was the same. This month, like, June was such a okay month. Like, I just had a lot of, like, good reads. I didn't have any 5-star or, like, crazy good reads. My top was A Torch Against the Night, which is the second book in the Ember Quartet. And whilst I did really like that one, like, I thought it was a great second book in a trilogy. Like not trilogy, sorry, quartet. It didn't feel like a second book though, you know, like a lot happened. We got a lot more development from our world. I think I rated it like a 4.25 or a 4.5. I can't quite remember.
Pretty good.
But I just thought it was a really great progression in the series and just the best book I had, like the best read I had that month. And then the worst book wasn't even bad either. It was Save Me by Mona Kastan, which is the actually this one's a little bit sentimental because I think it was the first book I was reading when we started our podcast or when we did like our pilot episode or something.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad book. Again, 3 stars. It was the original book that Maxton Hall is based off. So the TV series that we all love. And I just think crazy, but I think the TV series was better. Just the chemistry wasn't as good in the book. And I don't know whether that's the actors just bringing the characters to life so well. And it was just like, because in the movie or the TV series, it's like their eyes, like they like get glimpses of it. I can't speak today. Get glimpses of each other. Little things like that made it. And in the book, you just didn't have that same kind of touching of a hand vibe. It was still good. I didn't get butterflies from it. And maybe that's because I knew what was going to happen. I don't know.
It's possible. Yeah, I think moving into my July, that's a good segue because my worst read in July was We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, which was it's the third book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series, which I binged the trilogy in a day because the next season was coming out and I was like, okay, like maybe I'll just read the books. Knowing that it wasn't going to be like my favorite read of all time, but I was just like, I'm going to have a fun summer day reading a fun, silly romance. And these books were hard to read. And it was one of those things like the show is very frustrating and like is not my favorite show of all time, but I feel like it's just something that's so fun to follow when everyone else is watching it and you could just kind of like, you know, team whatever. And it's just like a fun time to follow along. Yeah. But it's another one of those cases where I think the show is better than the book. At least maybe I'm just too old because it's like a very YA series. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe if I read it when I was younger, it would make more sense. It would be better. But it was really hard being in Belly's mind. Like,
that's so funny.
She was so, like, I remember when I was reading a couple sentences. I read a couple sentences out loud in my vlog and like it literally read like, I can't believe he did this to me. I did this. Like, I blah, 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 blah. I blah, blah, blah. And, like, every sentence started with I. And I'm like, stop thinking about yourself. You're so annoying. It's, like, not That's all so about funny. You, Belly. But that was, like, the majority of this entire trilogy was just, like, I. And, yeah, maybe I would have loved it as a younger reader, but it was very frustrating to read. This was actually a 1-star for me. But my favorite read in July was Jade War by Fonda Lee. Much better. This is the second Jade City book, and it was just so good. Jade City, I think, is also one of those series, because I know you're going to dive into it soon, where, like, Jade City, the first book, is good, but it's, like, keep reading, and it gets better. Like, like, I think I gave Jade City, like, a 4-star or something. Like, it was a solid read, and I was like, wow, this has a lot of potential. It's very good. And then I read Jade War, and I was like, yes. Like, that's when I locked in. Yeah. So, yeah, it's one of those. But everyone knows how I feel about Jade City.
I've had so many people in the comments say, like, the same thing and just saying, I binged the series in, like, 2 weeks or something just because once you get stuck in that world, it's an incredibly addictive world. So that makes me super excited about it.
Yeah, no, so good. It's also, I think, good to read back to back because there are a lot of characters that you follow. Yep. And so, like, you want to remember everyone and, like, their names and their connections with everyone. Because, like, also my mistake with reading this is that I read Jade City last year in August. And then I waited until, I guess, like this year in July to read Jade War, which was a pretty big gap, but it's because when I read Jade City, it was during my my mass layoff when I was laid off from my job last year in August. And, like, it was a great read, but I was like, I started associating Jade City with, like, those negative feelings of being laid off. And so, like, I didn't want to go back there in my head. So I put it off for months and months and months, and then one day I was like, I have to pick up the series again because like it was like I know it's so good and I have to pick it up again. So I did, but I had to like go on the Jade City wiki or whatever and like just like read like spoiler summaries because I was like I don't remember, like I remembered most of like the main plot, but I was just like specific character names or the side characters, like I just needed like a refresher. But yeah, that was my story with Jade City and Jade War.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, not funny. It's like that's the problem of being a mood reader. Like moods will literally determine how much you could love these incredible books.
Yeah, and it's like I can laugh about being laid off now because I'm like I'm over it, but like in the moment, like that sucked. Like that was tough.
It's awful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sucky time. It's a bad time, but I mean the podcast came from it, so we can.
Yeah, look where we are now, guys.
Yeah. All right. With that, my top. By the way, if like people who are watching can see me like putting my hand down, it's because Maisie has decided that she wants to be a part of this, and so she's come to get pats.
We love her. She can join.
But my top read for July was Raven Scholar. We've again talked about this one a lot.
Good one.
Just a really great, well balanced, well thought out, well paced fantasy, to be honest. And just a very refreshing fantasy. I hadn't read anything like that in a long time. I think that's kind of what, like, it lit the fire, it lit the spark to my high fantasy journey that I've gone on in this past few months. I feel like has been very high fantasy heavy. My worst read was actually Our Infinite Fates. This one I didn't hate. I actually loved the first like 50% of it. I really enjoyed it. I was having a really fun time. And also lots of people loved it. So I was like really excited to dive into it. If you don't know, it's a YA, you probably do, it's been taking over the internet, but it's a YA standalone fantasy about these two souls that reconnect in every single lifetime, basically. But I think by the time they hit 18, they have to like kill each other, and then they reincarnate and find each other in another 18 years. But I actually really, really liked that premise, and I really liked the first like 50% of this book. But then the conclusion was so out of the blue. That was bizarre. We went from really magical realism, like, you know, very, very almost Addie LaRue, but younger, to what is going on right now. This is some like random, I don't even know, like just, I don't even know, just not high fantasy, just a dumping of magical villains that can somehow help pull this together. I don't know. It felt so random. It felt so out of field, like
it just switched genres, completely at the end, and like introduced all these things like, oh yeah, this is why that's happening, and it didn't like feel like the rest of the book whatsoever.
Yeah, it was so random. So I think I had to put that as my least favorite for the month. August, what was your August?
Okay, August, we're sticking with the Jade theme because my favorite was Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. So third and final book. Absolutely incredible. It's just one of those series that gets better and better and better as it goes. The third one was my favorite. And then my worst was actually Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. I was so like, I was on the fence as to like if I wanted to continue this one or not, because I had read the first two a while ago, and then I was like, I'm not so in love with these books. Like the first one was cozy, the second one kind of like was more plot heavy but kind of lost me in the vibes, and then the third one was disappointing for me. I didn't hate it, but it was my like worst read of the month. I just think like I've never felt this before, but reading this book I felt exhausted from being in the magical world. Like I felt actually tired, and I was like, I don't want to be in fairy anymore. So if you haven't heard of the Emily Wilde books, we follow like a researcher person in school who studies, and in the first book she's studying fairies for her encyclopedia. In the second one she is making like a map of like fairy doors, and in the third one she's like investigating fairy court politics, like the royal court. So just like lots of research, but there was something about this particular fairy world that made me like physically exhausted to be in. Not even to be in, to like read about. So that was a weird feeling. I've never felt that from a fantasy world before. And then also I just like really never understood the chemistry or the connection between like our two main characters, like the love interest. There was just like, it was a very quirky style of a romance, I think. Like, there were a lot of moments in this one particular where Emily, our main character, would describe her love interest as like something very horrific. Like she'd be like, yeah, and then he has this look in his eyes and he actually looks very grotesque and scary. And I'm like, I don't know if that's something I want in my love interest. Like I
Honestly,
could, like sure, like maybe at the beginning, but like in the first book, but by the third book, if you're looking at your like love of your life and thinking that still by the third book, I'm like,
honestly, that was, I've only read the first book, but yeah, I remember the love story just being, so odd. It was so, like, and I do think it worked for a first book, but that's interesting that it doesn't.
For the first book. Yeah. It doesn't, it keeps going.
That's
it doesn't
so funny.
change.
My best reads of August, I kind of have a tie. I just put Way of Kings and Wild Reverence. They both were great.
Love it.
I couldn't choose.
Fair.
But my worst was Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This I just didn't like the chemistry. Is it the third book? Yeah, the third book in the Rose Hill.
Yeah. This was like the
again,
wrestling
these are kind
one,
of,
right?
Yeah. And these are kind of just like they're little brain breaks for me. And this one, I just didn't like, I don't know. I have so many mixed thoughts about this one because you're right. It's a wrestling, like the guy's a wrestler, but like nobody knows that he's a wrestler. Like he's got this mask he puts on and then suddenly nobody knows that it's him on worldwide TV who's this incredibly famous wrestler.
It's like a Hannah Montana situation.
Literally, that annoyed me in itself. And also I think because all of the other books in this series and then the Chestnut Springs series, which is loosely connected, are very country cowboy vibes. And this just didn't feel like that. We were just set in a small town. It more just felt like a small town romance. Yeah, I just didn't love it. And again, was like, I kind of liked them as characters separately, but I don't know if I loved them together. Yeah, I don't know if this, oh no, I think it's actually finished now, this series. So I did actually complete it. I listened to the other one. Yeah. I just listened to it on audio when I was like on a holiday and I would just be going on walks and it was on Spotify. So I was like, great.
That was the one with the questionable yoga teacher, right? The fourth one.
Yep. That one was worse. It actually didn't make my worst read of the month when we come to it, but it was worse.
Oh, because you had one that was even worse. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Moving on to September, my top read was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I mean, like, yeah, I get, like, this was one of your top reads of the year, like, listeners, in our listener episode. So, yeah, it was also mine. And then my worst in September was Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider, which I think, again, like, we've talked a lot about this one. I honestly was having fun throughout most of the book. Like, I loved the seafaring seafaring adventure. I think it was a really fun idea. And then the twist. Which we don't need to elaborate on.
We've all, we know, I think you came on to podcast just after finishing it actually, and we were just like,
oh yeah, I did, and I was like, I'm still so mad. I'm still like fuming, like steam coming out of my ears.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
You really got my live reaction to that one. But for some reason, I still feel inclined to read the next book.
My top September read was Kingdom of Copper. This is the second book to City of Brass. And I saw your comment. I'm not letting you live down that comment that you were going to put City of Brass on your TBR. I am so excited. I'm so excited for you to read it though, because I feel like you will love it. It's such a unique fantasy world. I'm just so excited for you to dive into that world. And this was the second book. Like, who thought a second book would be a 5-star? But it's actually my favorite in the series. I just like, oh my God, everything about it. So many plot twists. Literally 5 years has passed since the first book, and I had to reread that. And that was such an interesting way to start a second book. Oh my God, it was crazy. I just love this series, and I need you to read it. And
Yeah,
then
I need to know.
it's so good. I think you'll love it. And then my worst read, I think this one overtook, what's it called? What were we just talking about?
Wild card?
Wild card.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah, wild card. Yep. Regretting You by Colin Hoover. I read this because I got invited to the movie premiere and I just had not read a Colin Hoover book in a long time. And I was reminded why. So that's all we'll say about that one.
That's all that needs to be said.
It just was not great for me.
Moving on to October. So my top read was Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This was when I got really deep into my like, let's continue the Cosmere phase. Yeah, no explanation needed on that one. And my worst was actually another Ali Hazelwood. It was Mate. And I will say, like, I didn't hate this book. I didn't hate it. It was just like a really good reading month. I think I gave Mate like a 3-star or something.
Yeah.
Which was like fine. It was fun. It was fun. It was fine. I like that. I honestly think these books are really funny because I like how she makes fun of the romantasy and like kind of like vampire werewolf genre. Like I love the poking fun at it. And I actually enjoyed the setup of this one as well. Like I liked how we were getting into like cults and stuff. I love like the cult, like anything like reading or watching about a cult. I'm like, yes, I'm in. I think cults are so interesting. But then it was like another one of those things, like the second half and the conclusion, like we didn't really get that deep into the cult stuff, which I was kind of disappointed in. And then the whole like premise of the book was like a little silly for me. I don't know how much I can say without spoiling like what actually happens, but I think just like the whole idea of it, I was like, oh, this is why we were having all these problems. And like I kind of like predicted that like in the first like 10% of the book.
I do actually really like that part of it though, because I feel like that just represents women. Like literally I saw somebody comment on it and they were like, oh, so this is just like when women have endo and it's like, I don't know how to say this without it being a spoiler for the book, although I do feel like it's meant to be pretty obvious, but it's like when women have like, you know, endo and no, it's actually like, it's all in your head, blah, 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 like, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And it's just like women in general are really under-researched in the medical field. And I feel like that was represented in the werewolf land.
That's true. That's actually a good way of looking at it. It's a good way of putting it.
And then I was like, surely Ali Hazelwood, like being who she is, I was like, that kind of makes sense of her writing like that. Yeah, but I will say there's a little bit too much dog behavior in it for me. I did really enjoy it, but it became very like, werewolves are literally just dogs. Yeah, that's what drew me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, like kind of human-like characters being dogs.
Yeah. My top read of October was The Will of the Many, of course. We all know how much we love that. I would say but no, we both love it. Jamie made me read it. And that's actually a common theme. A lot of these like top reads were because you made me read them. It's so funny.
I love it. I'm here for you.
My worst read was People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. And I actually really liked Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I thought it was a really inclusive, great, realistic kind of romance. This I just didn't like the characters. I didn't like the romance. It was a kind of friends with benefits type situation. All very like sexual and not admitting, like they can admit to sexual attraction but can't admit to physical, like to not physical, sorry, the opposite, like emotional connection, anything like that. It just and the main guy protagonist, he was quite different and quirky, but then there were aspects of him, to be honest, it's probably pretty realistic. He was very hard at committing to things. But it made it hard to read. I've seen some people love this though. So I think this is a real 50-50 one.
This one seems to be very controversial, like very dividing.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen the same thing, like people either really hate it or really love it. And I've seen a lot of, like people who loved Out on a Limb hate this one. I still want to read Hannah Bonham Young. I haven't read any, so I want to read Out on a Limb. Yeah. But it's kind of I'm kind of curious about this one. I feel like I maybe wouldn't love it just from the things I've heard about it, but it's also like it looks really cute. And like that's just me being shallow, but I'm like the cover looks so cute on this one.
It's such a cute cover. Like that's the reason I will not unhaul this book is because like even though I didn't like it, it's such a cute cover. And like the actual setting was really cute. It was a small town, family business, little vibes. But just I just didn't like the romance, which obviously was the main plot of it. So
yeah,
that's
a
okay.
romance book.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'll read Out on a Limb and then I'll see
I loved
that if I want to move on. Yeah. Okay. Going on to November, this was this was a month that I couldn't choose my favorite read because if you watch my November wrap up, it was literally the best reading month of my entire life. I found 3 5-stars in this month, and then I had like multiple 4.5 stars, and then I had like multiple like 4 stars and above, and I only had 2 reads that were under 4 stars. It was just like I don't know what happened.
Crazy.
Something was in the water. I was just really good at choosing books to read in November. I don't know, but I just had to put all of my 5 stars as my top 3 in November. So Red City by Marie Lu, The Poet Empress by Shen Tao, and Morning Star by Pierce Brown. I could not choose. You can't tell me to choose between those.
I love it.
All very heavy reads, I would say. Like they all made me like either cry or tear up at a certain point. All gave me like an emotional breakdown, but in different ways. But also I feel like the theme, like one common theme in all of them is that all of these books follow very complex characters that you love and you hate at the same time, which I love reading about. Like I love reading about a character that I just 100% love, but I also love reading about characters that I'm like, oh, I'm still rooting for you. I love you so much, but like, why would you do this? That was kind of the vibe in these November reads. So those were my top reads. And then my worst read was another read that was not bad at all. Like, again, this was the best reading month of my life. So it was Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I just read the volume 1 of it. And I would just say it's my worst read, number 1, because I'm not really too big of a graphic novel reader. So, like, I'm still unsure if it's the format for me. And then number 2, I think because I just read volume 1, like, in a graphic novel, you don't actually get that much plot. Like, not much happens in volume 1. It's really just the setup for what's to come. Like if you're going to read a romance, it's like the meet cute. It's like the very beginning of it. And so it was like, yeah, this is really cute, but like it didn't really like do much to me compared to like all of the other reads that I read in November. Yeah. It was such a good reading month.
Also like up against those reads, how could you compete like as a graphic novel?
I know. Yeah, like any other month it wouldn't be my worst read, but in November it just fell to the bottom, which was not very far down.
My November best read was Words of Radiance. Again, continuing the Stormlight as well. My worst, again, I didn't have a bad reading month. I didn't read that many books, but they were all pretty good. I think I couldn't really decide. I think they were both rated the same, but The Cursed Melodies or... Hang on, Maisie's going to jump down. There we go. The Cursed Melodies or The Defender by Anne Huang. Just The Cursed Melodies was a cute little YA academy setting, but it was just a little bit too YA. It was something I would have read when I was like 13, 14 and loved, but it just felt very, very young. And that's literally the only reason. It was still really cute and magical and fun and a little brain break. And then The Defender, just a sports romance. And my main like fault with that was not enough depth to our characters. I wanted more. I wanted to know their deep dark oh my God, why can't I speak today? I wanted to know,
we're at the end of the episode.
I wanted to know their deep dark secrets, and I just feel like there was more to explore there. But yeah, that was my main issue with it, to be honest. Both still fine. I think they were both like 3.5. So
pretty good. Yeah, that was like Heartstopper for me. It was like 3.5.
Yeah.
There was like, it wasn't bad.
Woof. What an episode, guys. If you were still listening, well done.
Yeah. Well done. Good job. You made it this far. I can't believe we've made it this far.
I know. The words are starting to blur. Everything's
like
blurring together.
Yeah, I'm like looking at my screen and I'm like, whoa, everything's like Everything's like spiraling. So I think, yeah, we're just gonna skip December just because on the day we're filming this, it's still like mid-December and there are still books to be read, so we can't really decide on a best or worst quite yet. But I think that was a pretty good recap of our reading year of 2025.
Yeah, I think so. What a year. Please let us know some of your top reads or worst reads if you're feeling a bit game.
If you're feeling spicy.
As we said before, the safest space in the internet, so nobody's going to judge you.
The safest space on the internet.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Just naming it. This is it.
Well, yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I guess that's it for this year. So if you're here to the end, especially, like, honestly, thank you for listening. Like, we started this podcast this year, like mid-year, and like I feel like we're still like a little baby podcast, but like even like how far we've come is like so cool, and the fact that we've built this little community here, like it just feels so cozy. And like I love recording these podcast episodes. I love interacting with all of you guys in the comments and everything. So here's to
It's been
half a year of podcasting, and here's to the next.
literally, and if you had told me this time last year that we would have a podcast together, never would have believed you. I would just be like, yeah okay. Like that's a far off distant dream. But it's reality now, which is just so surreal. It feels real now. Like I think for the first few months, it felt so surreal, and it's starting to sink in a little bit more now, and just feel just getting hit with all the gratitude waves.
Yeah, like we're actually doing this. Thank goodness for that like one shower that I had where I had this idea pop into my head, and then I texted you right after. Hey, let's do a podcast. All right, well, that'll be it for now. That'll be it. That's it for now. We'll see you guys next year.
So exciting.
Feels so weird to say. But yeah, if you guys are still here listening to the end, thanks for listening wherever you are in the world or whatever time zone you're in.
Until next year, stay comfy and keep reading.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on socials for more bookish content.
Bye.